Hello and welcome to this My Theme Shop video tutorial. Over the next couple of minutes I'm going to show you how to properly install your My Theme Shop WordPress theme on your self-hosted version of WordPress. There are a couple of different ways of doing this and I'm just going to run you through all the different options you've got available to you here. So the process for installing your WordPress theme is the same regardless of whether you're using a WordPress.org theme such as Point, which is available from My Theme Shop on WordPress.org, or a theme from your My Theme Shop members area at mythemeshop.com/go/member, and once you're logged in there you can access all of your themes. So the process is the same regardless of whether you download the theme here by expanding and then hitting download theme files, or whether on WordPress.org you hit download version. Doing either of those will download a zip file onto your computer which you can then install onto WordPress, which I'm going to show you how to do now. So back on the My Theme Shop dashboard, I'm going to download the theme files from magxp and hit download there, and as you can see that downloads a zipped file for me. I can go into my WordPress installation, upload that file, WordPress will extract the theme files, and then I can activate the theme. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So from your WordPress dashboard you want to go to Appearance and then Themes, and then click Add New, and then upload. And here I can upload the zipped file I've just downloaded, whether that was from the My Theme Shop dashboard or from WordPress.org. So I'm going to hit Choose File, and now here you'll see I have that zipped file I just downloaded. So open that and then press Install Now. And now WordPress is going to upload that file for me, unzip it, and then I'll be able to activate the theme. And now I can see WordPress has unzipped the zipped file, installed the theme, and to activate it I just need to hit Activate. And I can see I now have the magxp theme installed on my WordPress installation, and I can now set up the different options there by heading to the theme options. But I'll just show you on my site's homepage. You can see I have the magxp theme running now. If we just go back to the dashboard and then Appearance and then Themes, I'm just going to quickly show you the other way you've got available to you for installing a WordPress theme, and this will only work for themes available on WordPress.org. So I'm going to show you how to add the Point theme. So again, go to Add New and then search for Point in this example, and I can see Point by My Theme Shop. I can click Install Now, and then again that's going to download it, and then I can just hit Activate. I'm now running the Point theme, and if I head over to my site's homepage and then hit refresh, you'll see this is the Point theme running. And I'll just take you back to the WordPress dashboard. So once your theme is up and running, you'll want to get the things like the theme options set up and your featured images and whatnot. There are additional videos available to you in order to find out how to properly set up your theme once you've got it installed. But if you have any queries or run into any problems, then please head over to the My Theme Shop support forums, and one of the support team will be more than happy to help you. Thank you very much for watching.
Hello and welcome to this MAMP Pro screencast. Today I'm going to be talking about installing WordPress. I'm going to be using OS 10 Mavericks and MAMP 3.06. I'm going to be installing WordPress two different ways. The first way I'm going to be using the Extras feature here in MAMP Pro, and the second way I'm going to be installing it manually. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the Extras way of doing it. I already set up a My Extra host in username documents host WP host, and I've set my PHP version to 5.1.6, which is a little older version of PHP. So if I go to the Extras menu here and I click plus, I get a warning message because well, I have a warning message here, and it says possible reasons why no hosts content management systems appear here is because an incompatible PHP version or it might not be enough free space on your hard disk, which is a low probability, but that may be. So if I simply go back here and switch my PHP version to a more modern version of PHP 5.5.14, restart my servers, and wait a second, I should be able to see the content management systems. And so far here in 3.0.06, we have Drupal, Joomla, Web Edition, and WordPress. And I'm going to pick WordPress and install. So here we have a dialog, and it's as simple as filling this out, and you'll be up and running. You do have to fill in some email address here, probably your real one. Down here, directory, you can add a subdirectory if you want. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to put the WordPress files in my WP host directory. Database name, I'm going to just change to WordPress _ screencasts for simplicity, so we can see when we look at the database. And that's going to be your database name, and we're going to look at that later in phpMyAdmin. Username and password are set to admin and admin. Highly recommended to change that after you install WordPress, and you can do that through the WordPress interface. So I'm going to go ahead and install here. It's going to install in my document root, and it looks like we have a successful install of WordPress on using the extras feature. And here's a little WordPress icon that shows up when you do it with the extras. Okay, so I have my extra host successfully installed. You can also open the web browser from here as well. One thing I want to point out is with any content management system behind the scenes, it did set up your database, and I just want to show you where it is. So if you need to look at that, you'll know where to look. Just go to the Web Start button here, and in your Web Start, you can use phpMyAdmin to administer the database. If you click on Databases, here's our WordPress screencast database, and that's what the installer did. It just basically named this database, and then WordPress took care of the rest. And so that's about it. So that's so you know where your database is if you do set it up using the extras host. Okay, so now I'm going to set up WordPress on my own. So what I did is I went to the WordPress website, wordpress.org, and I downloaded a version of WordPress. And if I go to my downloads folder, this is what was downloaded, a folder called WordPress. So I'm just going to copy that, and I am going to go to my documents hosts folder, and I'm just going to copy this WordPress folder in there. So once I have that, I can go to my hosts and add a new host. We're going to call this WP own, I guess. I'm doing it myself, or yeah, we'll call it myself. And I need to set up the directory, and my document root is going to be WordPress. So once I do that, my host is set up, and I'm going to save. So now I have a host set up, and now I have to go through and manually set up the database. So if I click on WP myself, it says, hey, there's not anything set up here, and let's go ahead and create the setup here. So what they need is a database name, a username, password, host, and table prefix. So let's go ahead and go. So database name is WordPress. Well, I'll get to the database name in a second, but I want to quickly set up the username and password. When you set up MAMP Pro, MySQL is set up. We set up MySQL with a root user, and the password is root. You should probably change that password, but I haven't, and it is still root, so that is what I'm going to use. The database name, WordPress. Okay, this is important. You have to actually go into, if I go back into my MAMP Pro, you actually have to set up the database name manually. So if I go to Web Start, I go to phpMyAdmin, I go to Databases, and I say create I'm going to create a database called WP myself, and I'm going to create it. So we have a WP myself database now. So now I can go back into the WordPress setup wizard and type in WP myself, and I'm set up there. These are going to be the table prefixes. You can change this to whatever you want. If you're running multiple, just as it says, if you're running multiple WordPress sites, it'll help you out with identifying them. So we're all good to go here, and all I have to do is press submit, and it looks sparky, and it looks like we're done. Run install, and it says the famous 5-minute installation process. So I'm gonna just go through all of this as well. I'm gonna make this my username admin, which you probably shouldn't do with a password of admin, which is of course telling me it's very weak. My fake address at fake.com. Okay. And allow searches. Okay, that's all just internet stuff, I guess. Search engines can look at this, and we can do that, and we can log in. And let's see what happens. So just as before, we're at the starts page of WordPress, and I have successfully installed MAMP Pro, both with the extras and myself. And as you can see, the extras here has a little WordPress symbol here indicating it is an extra, and this done myself isn't. And that's going to conclude this screencast on installing WordPress.
In this video, I'll be showing you how to set up a new WordPress website without having to pay for hosting. This is not a free hosting tutorial as much as it is a useful way of building a new website but not making it available on the internet yet. So for example, you might think of this as a development website, somewhere where you can build all of your content and get it working the way you want before you then pay for hosting online. We'll be using a tool called MAMP to make this work, and I'll be working on my Mac. However, the process is pretty similar if you're on Windows. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install a piece of software called MAMP, M-A-M-P, so you can navigate to mamp.info in a browser. Now, MAMP comes in two different editions. There's plain old MAMP, which is free, and then there's MAMP Pro, which is a paid-for version. I'm going to go through and download MAMP Pro, and then I'll tell you about the different editions. So we'll get that download started. And there we go. So firstly, MAMP is a piece of software that actually combines 4 different pieces of software together. Well, actually, technically 3 pieces of software. So the M in MAMP at the beginning stands for Mac, A is for Apache, M is for MySQL, and P is for PHP. And those are the sort of 3 key things that are required to make a website like WordPress operate, or to be able to host it. Generally, when you pay for WordPress hosting, you're getting all of those pieces of software as well. What MAMP allows you to do is to have all of those pieces of software running locally on your own computer, so you can work in kind of a local mode or development mode, and then you can take that website that you've built locally and upload it to an environment where it's available for everyone to see on the internet. You can do lots of different things with this MAMP software. I've had a MAMP Pro license for a number of years. It's not overly expensive, and it's very easy to use. And if you're thinking of going through the process of building a new website, then it makes sense to use this as a starting point, because it gives you the flexibility, I guess, to build your website locally and then worry about hosting it when you're happy that it's ready to be hosted. So the download is almost finished here. The main difference between MAMP and MAMP Pro is that MAMP Pro gives you the ability to, if you like, host a number of websites locally on your own computer. There are a range of other things that it will do, but that's the primary difference. So you may be able to get through just by using MAMP. MAMP Pro comes with a 14-day trial though, so you can try this, see if it's going to do the job. If you want to then pay for the full license, you can do that. So our download is finished. I'm just going to run through the installation process here. There's nothing too special or interesting about the process. And at the end of this, what you'll have is effectively the ability to host your own website on your own computer, which in and of itself is not amazingly useful for anyone but you, because the rest of the internet can't see it. Great, installation has been successful. We'll move the download into the trash. We're all set to go. So I'm going to go into my applications folder. We'll sort this by date added, and at the top of the list we have MAMP and MAMP Pro. So MAMP Pro is what we're interested in, so I'm just going to double click on that to run it. The first time you run it, it'll ask you for your credentials to install a helper tool. Primarily what that helper tool is giving you the ability to do is to manage URLs that you enter in as hosts, which I'll talk about in a little bit later. So this is a demo version. It's going to work until the 22nd of January 2017. Although I own a license, I'm not going to enter that right now. I'm just going to choose OK, and we'll work with it in this trial mode. So we get a What New page. I'm not too concerned about that. We'll get rid of that. And this is the main MAMP interface. I'm just going to change this window size a little bit to try and get it to fit in here. There we go. That will do. Okay, so a couple of things that you need to know about the software. Firstly, over on the left-hand side, a couple of different server options. The ones that you'll primarily need to be able to run a WordPress website are Apache and MySQL. The ticks that you've got here basically mean that when you click this servers button, it's going to start up all the different services that have ticks on them. When they're started up, these icons here will change to say that they're on, and that means that they're running. And also, when they start up, this server's icon will also change as well. So I'm going to click on that server button. It says it's about to start up MySQL. That's fine. We'll say continue. You can see we get some progress indicators here. Great. So we've got a green light here. That means that these servers are now running. And we've got a tick and an on switch here for Apache, and the same for MySQL. So all of that put together basically means that if I open up a web browser and go to a website called localhost, what that's going to do is it's going to give me a stock standard website. Now, it's not a WordPress website yet, but it is a website. So the first thing you'll notice here is that it's in the browser, it's listed as localhost, which is just another name for my computer. And it's got this :8888 here. So what that's just telling me is that it's not running on the standard ports that a typical website would run on. Without going into a lot of detail, typically websites will run on port 80 or port 443. Think of those as like frequencies on a radio. They just allow a number of radio stations to use the same airwaves, and every one of them uses a different frequency. So what this is basically saying is it's using the frequency 8888 or port 8888. So the first thing we can do though is we can actually change this so that we're using the standard ports that a general website would normally use. So if I go back into MAMP, over on the left hand side here we've got a ports option. And this is actually telling me all the different ports that are going to be used. And you can see I've got a button here that allows me to set my ports to port 80 and 443 and all of the other standard ports. So if I click on that and then click on save, you notice over here that the little progress indicator started to spin. Basically, it's saying that to make this effect, or to affect this change, we need to restart the MAMP server. So we'll just say yes. And you'll find in a lot of situations that that'll happen. You'll have made a change, saved something in MAMP, and then it'll prompt you and say, hey, you need to restart the server to make that effect, or to affect that change. And generally just choose yes. It's taking a second for these to restart. And I can see here by the progress indicator that I'm still waiting. Still waiting. I do find sometimes it'll kind of get stuck in this restart loop. There we go, we're all set to go. So if I go back to hosts, local host, and I click on the little button here to jump to a browser, you can see now that we get to the same website we were on before, but you notice that we're just using localhost as the name. So what this is actually telling us is that our host has been successfully set up. Now, not that we can actually do much with this website. This is all this website does. It's not WordPress, but it is a website. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through and now set up a version of WordPress in this website as well, or actually in a new website. So the great thing about MAMP Pro is that you have the ability to set up a number of individual websites, or what are called hosts. And each of these hosts can have its own URL, and you can also specify things like what version of PHP you want to use, or whether you want to use Apache as a server, or whether you want to use Postfix for different services. So, generally we're only talking about WordPress in this tutorial, and so we're going to keep it simple, and we're going to deal with Apache and MySQL. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a brand new website here, and we're going to install WordPress so you can see the whole process from scratch. So I'm going to click on the plus sign at the bottom of the new hosts box, and the host name that we enter in here will actually be the URL for the website that gets created. So I'm going to create a website called myfirstwebsite.com. The only other thing that we have to specify is what's called the document root. This is basically where in your file system on your computer you want all of the files for the website to live. So if you click the folders over here, you can go through and then pretty much store this wherever you like. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into applications. I'm going to go down to the MAMP folder, and there's a htdocs folder here. I'm going to open that up, and in here I'm going to create a new folder. It doesn't really matter what I call it, but I may as well keep it similar to the URL that I've created. So I'm going to call it myfirstwebsite.com and create that. Choose that. Now you do get other options here to create a database and copy the contents of a template. Don't tick either of these to get things started. That's all you need to do. Enter in a URL and give it a folder name on your own file system where you want the files to live. Choose create. So it's now created this new website. If I save that, it's going to prompt me to restart the servers. We'll say yep. You'll notice here that we've got localhost, which is the website that MAMP created when it was installed, and now we've got myfirstwebsite.com also. Now, even though this looks like a website that you would find on the internet, technically it's not on the internet, it's just on your own computer. So if you went to a friend and said, hey, my new website's live, it's at myfirstwebsite.com, they wouldn't be able to see it because you're the only one that can see it on your own computer. So you can see though that if I go to a browser and put in myfirstwebsite.com, I still get that MAMP Pro website that we saw a few minutes ago. Okay, that's all good. Now the WordPress part. In MAMP version 4, they introduced this extras concept, and what this enables you to do is to install common pieces of software. So if you hit the plus sign at the bottom here, you can see we've got a whole range of different pieces of software, and the one that we're interested in is WordPress 4.7. So you just click on that and choose install, and it's going to prompt you for a couple of pieces of information. Firstly, you'll need to put in an email address. The directory where it will be installed will by default be that folder that you created when you created the website. So I can just leave that as it is. The table prefix, that's fine. The database name, so because we're using MySQL as our database, it generally would make sense to change the database name to match the website that you're actually building. So you might want to change this to something like WP underscore my first website, as an example. It's going to set up a username of admin and the password of admin, which we can change later. And there's an install button that's just off the screen here that you would click. At this point, what it's doing is it's actually downloading WordPress from the WordPress.org website, and then it's going to install it in the file system, and it's going to create the database and do some basic configuration inside WordPress to get the website up and running. Great, that's all done. So if I now go back to the General tab and click on the button here, you can see that I've now got a real website. That is, this is a stock standard WordPress installation using the 2017 theme, and it looks, acts and works like a proper WordPress website. If I go down and choose Login, use admin and log in, I'm now logged into the WordPress admin interface. Let's make a quick change. I'm going to go through and change my title here from Migrate Blog to my first website. And we'll save that. And you can see that we've now got my first website listed here as well. So now that you've got your WordPress website up and running, you can now go through and build new content, add new posts, choose the different themes, install all the different plugins you might need to get your website perfect before you then think about hosting it on the internet for the world to see.